In today's video, I'd just like to share a few different perspectives on Tesla from two experts in their field. Tony, Tesla is just a car company because I cover the automotive industry as a stock analyst, Sakanagi, and Cathie, Tesla is the world's biggest AI play in the world, Wood of ARK Invest. It's always good to hear what people have to say about Tesla, and this is going to be a great exercise in chalk and cheese. You know what? Let's start with Tony. Now, I've not watched this clip yet, but historically speaking, Tony has struggled to grasp what Tesla is, what they do, their valuation, and the fact that, believe it or not, they are not just a car company. As I've said in the past, Tony would no doubt smoke me on an IQ test. But unfortunately for Tony, there are no cells in his spreadsheet that account for the things he's missing in Tesla. Maybe today's the day he finally changes his tune. Let's find out.
Joining us now for more on Tesla, Tony Sakanagi, Bernstein Senior Research Analyst. Tony, great to have you with us. You're basically the opposite of Cathie Wood. You've got an underperform rating, a $150 price target. And I think that was interesting when I read through your notes is that, you have all these estimates. You think full year 24 estimates on the street are too high, but it almost doesn't matter because if you take a look at how Tesla has reported and how they have missed estimates in terms of deliveries for a number of quarters, they've missed on some of the metrics for the quarters. The stock is still up 80% this year. So how do you look at this stock right now and say it's 150 when it's divorced a little bit from these estimates and the expectations on the street?
Sure. Good morning, Melissa. Yes, I think in the near term, Tesla stock has been extremely difficult to call. As you note, I think earnings estimates for this year have gone from $6 to $3, and yet the stock is almost double from the beginning of the year, albeit still down considerably from last September, October levels. And so I think that's very challenging for investors when numbers are generally coming down and the stock is holding in there or actually gaining ground.
So I just wanted to share a few observations. It's true that Tesla stock, since opening this year, has essentially doubled. It's simultaneously true that since its all-time high, Tesla stock is roughly half price. And my hypothesis is that perhaps, just maybe, the average investor buying Tesla stock is considering aspects of their business that are in the early stages and or have not yet even materialized as commercial products, almost assigning a probability to success, which I personally think is the way to value a company. After all, if you're just looking backwards or into next quarter and at everything that you can literally put in your spreadsheet, a potato could do that. In my opinion, investing is all about identifying opportunities before others have, figuring out what they might be worth. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, I have a Tesla valuation model available exclusively on Patreon. Click the link at the pinned comment, join at the investor level and above if you'd like access. And there's a key reason that my Tesla valuation model spans a 10-year time horizon. Of course, please don't tell that to any of the haters there, but I'm not trying to estimate what Tesla's worth today or tomorrow or 1 or 2 years from now. I'm trying to estimate what Tesla is worth a decade from now. And the arbitrary points between now and then, whatever, they're not that relevant. Why? Because I don't care. Most of the stuff over the next few years for Tesla is extremely obvious. Yes, their production will be higher than it is now. Duh. Yes, their average selling price will be lower than it is now. Duh. Yes, the energy business will grow. Duh. But the key is, what about the stuff that's longer term that people aren't fully pricing in because there's a bit of uncertainty, and therefore, if it's not guaranteed, it's not already happening, and I'm a Wall Street genius, I'll just ignore it. Like autonomy, robotaxis, the licensing of FSD, scaling up with their training compute, and then ultimately Dojo as a service. What about the humanoid robot, which, in fairness, I think the major impact from that's going to be 10, 15, 20 plus years from now. And I think this seems to be the key distinction between the way Tony looks at Tesla and the way I do, and also folks like Cathie Wood. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that Tony looks at Tesla and goes, all right, what's already happening right now? Okay, and let's extend the time horizon, maybe a micropenis length into the future. What might happen then? Okay, great. That's all I need to think about. Whereas I think Tony's missing a trick, or 12. Now, again, I just want to be clear. Tesla is an extremely volatile stock, okay? The distinction here between the company and the stock. It's not uncommon for Tesla to surge or collapse more than 10% in a single day. This has happened dozens of times in the company's history. But I'm unaware of a single instance in which Tesla's sales collapsed 10 or surged 10% in a single day, although there's probably been a few instances where they have surged that much. And to Tony's point, it's certainly hard to predict Tesla stock over a short period of time. Again, this is why my Tesla valuation model and the fair valuation it produces, formerly known as price targets, is over a 10-year window. Because between now and then, I've got no idea what's going to happen to the stock. I just have estimates for the numbers they'll do and what I would consider a fair valuation based on those numbers. So let's hear more from Tony. Tesla is just a car company, Sakanaki.
I think a lot of it is because there's continued belief in the longer-term vision of Elon Musk and Tesla.
See, he's smarter than he sounds sometimes. Tony knows the reason. He gets it, but I just think that he prefers not to believe those things or not even consider those things as possible until they've already taken place. And this is a big issue, folks, on Wall Street. It's called small testicle syndrome. In fact, it's called no testicle syndrome. No courage. There are so few analysts, in fact, almost zero of them, that are willing to muster up the courage to consider elements of Tesla's future business that have not yet materialized but are obviously germinating. But if it's true that they're obviously germinating, and in some cases they have a literally unassailable lead, then surely you've got to consider this, right? Assign a probability, sure. Maybe it's not 100%, maybe it's 80%, maybe it's 42%, but you've got to think about this stuff, right, instead of just completely ignore it till it already happens. But apparently that seems to be the modus operandi of most folks on Wall Street. Just ignore it until it's already happened and then tell everybody once it's already happening. But hey, it's not like autonomy, for example, is a decatrillion-dollar opportunity. So, I mean, even if you do ignore it, big deal, right? Wait, is decatrillion a lot?
I think you showed the clip of Cathie Wood saying she really believes in autonomy. Others have espoused the fact that Tesla will have dominant market share, 10, 15 years from now.
See, again, I've got to give credit to Tony. He at least understands why some people are valuing Tesla the way they do. He knows the thesis, but I'm guessing he disagrees.
And 20 million cars. And so I think while that hope is still possible and is still alive, it's difficult for the stock to go down. I think the big question for me is next year, do they have to cut their growth targets? Might they only grow at 10%? And I think it's certainly possible in 24 and 25 that Tesla could have pretty modest unit growth because they're not going to have new models and they're struggling to grow now without doing major price cuts.
I want to talk to you about China, since that's supposed to be a major engine for the Tesla story in the future. Li Auto, a competitor there, has been gaining market share. Granted, it's only 4.5% according to its latest earnings report, but that's up from 1.5% a year ago. Tesla has been losing a little bit of share. HSBC, in its initiation last week with a sell rating, pointed out that the EU might be looking into probes. And so that could impact, it exports 40% of the cars made in Shanghai right now. How do you take a look at the China story? And is there, if it was worth X amount in its share?
Sorry to interrupt again, but I just want to make sure everybody who's listening audio only is just looking on screen right now at current US electric vehicle market share through Q3 2023. Tesla currently accounting for 56.3% of all electric vehicles sold in the entire year of 2023 in the US. Second place, a mere 8%, and technically less than that. They've combined Hyundai and Kia sales. I'm not sure why, but whatever. GM, 6.4%, VW at 5.7%, and Ford at 5.3%. Now, it's inevitable over time, Tesla can't maintain such an absurd percentage market share because there'll be more companies producing electric vehicles, and even if they suck, they'll still sell a few of them, and by default, Tesla's going to lose some share. Funnily enough, however, at this very moment as I record this, we've heard both GM and Ford announce publicly that they're going to slow down their EV transition plans at the worst possible time, meaning it is possible in the US at least that Tesla actually may be able to maintain this stupidly, unreasonably, just ridiculous percentage market share for 6, 12, 18 months longer, which is just ridiculous. Come on. Can you imagine, just for example, that there was a single channel on YouTube covering Tesla, doing 56.3% of all of the views on all Tesla-related content? Just imagine that, how absurd it would be. Ridiculous.
Share price, 8 months ago or a year ago, what is it worth today? Is there a discount associated with that?
I think, the Chinese EV market is incredibly competitive.
He's absolutely right. Cutthroat, mature. Many companies in China actually making a tiny amount of money per electric vehicle sold. Tesla making an absolute enormous amount of money per vehicle sold. But excluding Tesla, the Chinese companies themselves, those who have currently reached reasonable scale and profitability, there's a culture of absolute ferocity there. There's something like 150 or more electric vehicle manufacturers right now in China. Extremely competitive. Of course, 5-10 years from now, very few will remain. But it's a very healthy, competitive marketplace. Whereas, per the example of Tesla's US market share, in the US, bro, it's literally Tesla and no one else.
It's, 1 out of every 3 cars sold in China this year are EVs. There is an 800-pound gorilla, BYD in China, who is growing much faster than Tesla. They just reported 25% automotive gross margins. Tesla's at 17. They only make EV-related cars. And, there are others like Li and Xpeng who are formidable competitors as well. And so the Chinese market, which is the largest car market in the world, is the most competitive market. It has the most models. It has the most competition. And Tesla has its lowest share there of any region. Its share in China of the EV market is about 10%. Its share of the EV market in the US is about 70%. And I think over time, markets will become more competitive. The European market will become more competitive, is becoming more competitive, as the Europeans have come out with pretty good EVs and the Chinese are moving in.
But just to be clear, there are no, quote, pretty good European electric vehicles on Earth right now. None. But he is right. Chinese companies are now starting to sell their vehicles, electric vehicles in Europe. That's going to happen everywhere. The way that future automotive markets become competitive outside of China is because companies from China start competing with Tesla outside of China. The big boys, Volkswagen, Toyota, Ford, General Motors, they do not stand a chance. They're not going to be competitive. Doesn't matter where we're talking about on Earth. As I've said in the past, the future automotive market, in terms of units sold per year, number 1 by miles, Tesla. Number 2 through 10, almost all Chinese automotive manufacturers. Maybe 1 or 2 exceptions, miraculous exceptions.
And I think over time, the U.S. market will become more competitive. And that's the challenge for Tesla is it's playing in a hyper-competitive marketplace. And it's really, really difficult for one player to have outsized share or profitability. And that.
So Tony's claiming that Tesla's competing in a hyper-competitive market, suggesting the competition is in fact coming or is already here, which is not true. And in terms of one company eking out the majority of the profits, I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, but anyone know any, let's say, e-commerce companies that are dominating profitability in that space? Something Amazon? Maybe any technology companies that perhaps make iPhones that are taking the lion's share of the profits in the smartphone market? No, yeah, good point, Tony.
That's ultimately our concern about Tesla longer term, is that it is really a car company, and the car industry makes it difficult for anyone to have outsized margins or share over the long term.
He had to do it. Tesla is just a car company. Fucking hell, Tony. Oh, this guy seems to be beyond help. I just feel bad for him. The poor guy, he doesn't get it. Tony is emblematic of a typical Wall Street analyst. He's an expert in the automotive industry. This is his bread and butter. So he gets thrown Tesla to start covering years ago. Hey, Tony, new car company called Tesla. Can you cover them too? Tony sees Tesla through automotive-coloured glasses and still thinks they are just a car company. I wonder what he would have to say about the fact that maybe this time next year they'll have among the, if not the most compute of any company on Earth, training compute for AI. Kind of a weird thing for just a car company, right? Anyway, from Tony to Cathie.
You've been very bullish on autonomy,
Yes.
Vehicle autonomy of ETF all around it, robotics and the like. What do you make of what's happened with Cruise,
Yes.
the shutdown of Cruise, at least the temporary suspension of it? Derek Khosrowshahi, who runs Uber, was on the broadcast last week. He said he doesn't think that autonomy, in terms of autonomous vehicles or robo-taxis or the like, are a real thing for another 5 or 10 years. Meaning, he's, and by the way, I think 5 or 10 years ago, he would have said 5 or 10 years ago.
So just a quick moment. Apparently the Uber CEO thinks robo-taxis won't be a thing for 5+ years. Now, maybe he's right, but if he's wrong, that has serious implications for Uber's business, because Uber's business model involves a very large expense called human drivers, right? If it turns out that Tesla's fleet of robotaxis awakens, let's say, less than 5 years from now, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 years from now, and suddenly, in the United States alone at that stage, there'll be 10+ million vehicles capable of autonomously driving people from point A to point B, therefore no need to pay a human driver an hourly salary, nor needing rest and sleep. This could completely kill Uber. Quite interesting to know that their CEO doesn't see a threat from autonomy for at least 5 years. My question is, what if he's wrong? And for the record, my Tesla valuation model, my estimate for the first Tesla robotaxis still remains unchanged. I first published that model back in 2021. First estimate for Tesla robotaxis was late 2024. I haven't touched it. My confidence in that prediction, the date, has increased massively over time. It was a slightly informed guess back then. Now it's a fairly confident prediction. Of course, I'll definitely be wrong to some degree, just how wrong. The big question, though, is who's going to be more wrong? Uber's CEO or me? For Uber's sake, I really hope it's me.
That was what,
so would Elon, yes.
And so here we are.
Yes.
So what, have you changed your view about that? No. I mean, you must have, because I imagine if we go get tape of a conversation that we all probably had 5 or 10 years ago, we probably said 5 or 10 years from now.
22, 23, right. 24. We actually delay ours by 1 year relative to Elon, so maybe it should be 2 years. But here's where we've learned how important Tesla's proprietary data is. It's 5 million robots around the world. Cruise didn't have anything like that. It had hundreds.
Can you believe this? What robots? What is he? What's he talking about, bro? They're just a car company. Didn't you listen to Tony? What are you talking about, Cathie? What are you smoking? Can I have some? Fucking robots on roads. They're just a car company, you dumb ass.
5 million robots around the world collect data every day and send it back to Tesla. Tesla has more corner cases, which means disengagements, accidents, information like that, than all the other companies in the world combined. And I have to tell you, watching the breakthroughs in AI that we are seeing, they are astounding, the speed at which this is moving. Right. So it is interesting. I think it's a data issue. Autonomous taxi platforms are the biggest AI project in the world, and therefore we think Tesla is the biggest AI player.
You've sold Tesla shares, and it's it used to be the number one.
So the theme of today's video: Tony Sacconaghi, a Wall Street stock analyst, a specialist in the automotive industry. You might even call Tony an automotive industry expert, believes Tesla is, and he doubled down on this today, recording this in mid-November 2023, literally just a car company. Meanwhile, Cathie Wood, who obviously doesn't know anything, is under the distinct impression that Tesla has millions of robots on roads collecting data and is in fact the biggest AI opportunity on planet Earth. It's fair to say that these two opposing opinions both can't simultaneously be correct. So the question is, who's right? As for this comment from Andrew, I can see it coming now. You sold some Tesla stock. I didn't understand. Let me explain again, folks. ARK Invest actively trade in and out of positions. They're always looking for relative value. And look, I'm vehemently against the idea of trading in and out of stocks because my brain's not big enough and neither is yours. If it was, you'd be making billions of dollars trading stocks instead of watching some dickhead on YouTube. Fact to the facts. By the way, shout out to the few billionaires who are actually watching. So Andrew's question, why do you sell Tesla stock if you're so bullish on the company? Cathie's answer is going to be, because we actively trade in and out of stocks. If Tesla surges and some other stocks are down and we see some valuation there, we'll sell some Tesla and buy that stock. They get asked this question every single time they trade in and out of Tesla. Now again, this is not my strategy. I personally think, and I've made this bet publicly, if ARK Invest literally just were all in on Tesla, 5 years from now, their position in Tesla will have outperformed all their funds. I'm pretty confident in that prediction. But people take ARK Invest actively trading around different names to be a signal that they're no longer bullish on a certain company. This is not the case. They're just looking and going, well, this has surged a ton. We believe this is massively undervalued over here. Let's sell some of this, lock in some profits and buy this. Again, not how I invest. I just buy and hold because my brain's not big enough. Neither's yours. But it's very important to understand that ARK Invest activity around particular securities isn't actually about that particular security and the stock or the company or its future. It is instead about relative valuation versus other names they own or are potentially looking at buying.
One holding, I believe, in your ETF. It's now number 3. You've sold about 20 million shares.
Yes.
Why?
So, well, whenever it goes up, it was up about 150% relative to our other names, many of which had not moved. So we will always recycle that way, take profits. And I would also say, listening to Elon on the last conference call, he's very concerned about the economy, as we are.
Cathie, will I look outside 5 years from now and see GM and Ford EVs everywhere?
Bro, he's going there. Now, if you guys haven't been following this channel and or just watching CNBS for a while, many years ago, Joe appeared to buy into the Elon bad, Tesla bad, the competition is coming narrative. But he's woken up in the last 12 to 18 months. I can see where this is going right now. His question is, are these companies f***ed? Are they even going to be in business in a few years? I think Joe is now coming out of the closet as a, wait a minute, Tesla's going to dominate. There is no competition. The competition's coming all over themselves, not for Tesla. It's bizarre to watch this happen in real time. I think this is what's happening right now. Of course, Cathie Wood's very PC, I guess, in the way she responds to these things. After all, she manages people's money. She can't come out and say they're all f***ed f***ed like I can. But in my opinion, they're all f***ed. And personally, I think she knows they're all f***ed, but I don't think she'll say they're all f***ed. So let's see what Cathie Wood has to say about Joe's question.
It's very interesting to hear both of them pull back saying,
but do you think, with this new way, I don't even know if we'll be talking about GM and Ford in 5 years.
Bro, he did. He just went there. Bro, this is amazing to watch, the transformation. The guys just literally said, I think they're going out of business. I mean, not literally. By the way, why is it that people always say literally when they don't mean literally? But that's implicit in Joe's question there. Are they even going to be in business? Are they even going to be relevant a few years from now? This is amazing. Talk about some insight. I mean, again, from a CNBS anchor who previously Elon bad, Tesla bad, to now asking the question, will these companies even exist? When he and many of his colleagues for years have been claiming the competition will come, the big boys are coming, blah, 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 blah. This is a moment in time, folks. And notice how he pressed the question, because Cathie Wood kind of dodged it. First question's basically like, are they even going to be in business? Cathie's like, well, it's interesting. And Joe pushes really hard. Are we even going to be talking about them? He's really trying to get an answer out of her, but good luck. Cathie Wood knows how to play the game.
What is interesting about the news that both of them are pulling back for profitability reasons, they can't be profitable in this space unless they scale. That's how this works.
It's a catch-22.
So it's catch-22, and their shareholder base is very internal combustion engine oriented, and they want their profits now, and they want their dividends now, and they don't want that kind of investment.
So how are they going to do it?
Losses.
Will they be able to?
I don't know.
In a different universe, Cathie would answer that question by saying, I don't think they'll be able to, but she's actually said, I don't know. Now, notice Joe's really pushing this. He wants to know, because, again, implicit in his questioning here is, I think they're going bankrupt, Cathie, are they? Please confirm or deny. And by the way, in case you guys don't know, they're not going to make it.
I don't know. All I know is, back to the Tesla question, as they are pulling away, our market share expectations for Tesla go up.
Right.
You know, and so to answer the question, we sold as it was up 150% relative to everything else. We have not sold much since then, and it will, if we're right on this autonomous taxi opportunity, it will remain in the top 5 in our fund, in our flagship.
So a fascinating example of two very vastly differing opinions on Tesla. Tony believes they're just a car company. Cathie Wood believes they're the biggest AI play in the world. And stunningly, one of the talking heads on CNBS is now questioning whether or not companies like Government Motors and Ford will even be in business a few years from now. That's quite a sharp change in the narrative in a very short period of time. Wow. Want more content? Early access? A bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. Athletic Greens AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. Athletic Greens AG1 is an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. Certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point and something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy, everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy, wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely, it's not that AG1 shit, is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it. You'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, Snake Oil Salmon's sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. But constantly, I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. And remember, there is a 90-day money-back guarantee. There's nothing to lose here. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. Get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment, and please, let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links in the pinned comment, see you over on Twitter and or Patreon, and don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.